This week on Maker Update, a screen-accurate lightsaber replica that you can actually use, making a better tape measure, tips for perfect bridges, and a drone that never needs to come down. Hello and welcome back to Maker Update, our weekly collection of our favorite projects, tips, and tools from across the Maker Internet. I'm Tyler Weingartner, and I hope you're all doing great. We've got a wonderful show for you, so let's start it off with the project of the week. Lightsaber props are a Maker project that are as popular as clocks, cyberdecks, and river tables. But what HeroTech has created here is a truly remarkable achievement. A lightsaber replica that extends and retracts quickly, glows brightly, and it all fits into a replica of the original Graflex handle, so it's screen accurate as well. And the best part is, it can even stand up to some light dueling. Not even the ones built by Disney can make that claim. This replica is the end of a long journey of various iterations and prototypes. The first version was an awkward-looking box, functional, but not exactly like any lightsaber you've ever seen on screen. He then moved on to 3D printed hilts, which looked a lot better, but they were all oversized. The big challenge this time around is getting everything to fit in the compact space of the Graflex tube. The blade of the saber is made from a clear magician's cane. I'd never heard of these before, but these are basically a semi-rigid hollow tube that collapses in on itself like a spring. It's lit internally by this single COB LED strand and fixed at one end so that when the LED strand is retracted, it pulls to the end of the blade with it, collapsing it back into the hilt. One of the surprises here is how many motors are jammed into this tiny package. One of the catches with magician's canes, literally, is that you can't just collapse them. You need to rotate the base of it or else it stays rigid. There's a motor for that. There's another motor to pay out the LED strip, but since that made for fairly slow blade extension, there's a clutch to disengage the gears so the blade extends really quickly. Finally, there's another motor at the base that spins the entire blade assembly, which helps sell the illusion of a furiously glowing beam. And somehow there's still enough space for the microcontroller, a speaker for sound effects, plus 2 batteries, one for the microcontroller and another for the LED strip. The controller is the Profi board, an open source microcontroller specifically made for lightsaber projects. You also get to see all the problem solving and troubleshooting getting this thing ready for New York Comic Con, and seeing everyone's reaction to it is just marvelous. Give this one a watch. More projects. If you want something else that extends and retracts on its own, but also can help you around the shop, check out this new take on the tape measure by Trachtman. He originally experiments with reassembling a tape measure by reversing the spring that's normally responsible for retracting the tape. It was a good exploration of the concept, but ultimately this meant that you had to retract the tape by hand, in his case via a ratcheting crank. It was an awkward solution that was prone to failure. Motors to the rescue. He's made this completely custom enclosure that looks a little bit like a snub-nose handgun. A DC motor spools out the tape and the spring mechanism draws it back in. There's a pair of triggers near the hand grip to control either function. But realizing that he was overcomplicating things since the motor could do both, he just needed separate triggers for running the motor in forward and reverse. Worth mentioning that there's no microcontroller here, just a 9-volt battery, a pair of switches, and the motor. It's fun stuff. From Lightning Cosplay, we have a project about making a replica of the Vacpack, a utility device used in the game Slime Rancher 2. One of the goals for every single project by Lightning Cosplay is that, if possible, design it in a way that can be assembled without any tools, using snap-together parts, which is especially impressive in this case, considering that the entire middle part rotates. The structure is all made from square aluminum tubing for rigidity, and it's super satisfying seeing everything slide, snap, and magnetize together. I also love seeing all the techniques used to create these cel-shaded highlights. This one is from a few weeks ago, but in case you missed it, Luke Maximo Bell has built a solar-powered drone that can fly indefinitely. This project is all about efficiency and making everything as light as possible. The body is made from carbon fiber tubes and is lifted by these massive 18-inch carbon fiber propellers. The solar panels he's using are super efficient and extremely light, and as a result, they're also incredibly fragile. Seriously, he accidentally broke 2 of them just trying to get initial readings from them. With the entire panel in full sunlight, it generates an impressive 97 watts. He's using this structure of thin carbon fiber rods to give the solar panels enough structure to survive flight. And fly, it does. Without any battery attached, it was able to lift off in sort of a lazy hover. And if Luke looks familiar, he's half of the father and son team that just set the world record for the world's fastest drone. And he's going for another record with this project, the longest flying drone. Now for some tips and tools from Make Wonderful Things. We have a guide to getting perfect bridges and overhangs in your 3D prints. Normally you get these warped, uneven distortions, and it's not because of gravity, but rather because the nozzle is extruding too much material and carving off pieces of the previous line. But by reducing the extrusion rate and speeding up the nozzle, he was able to get the results he was hoping for. His first attempt was hacking together the G-code manually, but he later learned to use modifiers to change the slicing behavior for the bridged areas. And the results, even with these torture tests, are seriously impressive. Zack Freedman has a video about 5 bizarre failures he's encountered with 3D printing, and their even weirder causes and solutions. For instance, it's common knowledge that you need to dry nylon filament in order to have successful prints with it. But by drying it too much, it becomes some of the most unprintable filaments ever. Most of the other bizarre conditions all pertain to printing with PCTG, a notoriously finicky filament that can deliver great results, but also spectacular failures if handled poorly. Adjusting retraction to stop introducing air bubbles, adjusting the speed so you don't cook the outer walls, and modifying acceleration so your extruder doesn't destroy your top layers. Tons of great 3D printing sleuthing going on in this video. From Gareth's Tips, Tools, and Shop Tales newsletter, we have a bunch of great tips that have nothing to do with 3D printing. How to sand in small and hard to reach places, the best adhesive for PETG plastic, a celebration of short rulers, and the do's and don'ts for extension cords and power strips. A helpful reminder as we get into the colder months. Great stuff. For this week's DigiKey Spotlight, we have this multi-sense camping lamp created by the Tomorrow Lab team. This is built around the PSOC 4000T microcontroller from Infineon. With this board, they're able to make rugged, pressure-sensitive touch buttons out of any metal, thanks to this board's capacitive touch capabilities. The buttons are actually part of this back plate that doubles as a hanging hook. It's a neat project, but the board itself is the real star here. Seems like it could have a lot of really interesting applications. Alright, and that does it for this week's show. A reminder, as always, you can get more info about every single one of these projects by following the links down in the description. While you're there, leave us a comment, give us a thumbs up, and hit subscribe so you won't miss the next one. Big thanks as always to DigiKey for making this show possible and to you for watching. Take care, we'll see you soon.